We back live and direct, family. Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist, with another great Man of God Media TV reaction. All right, I just found out about this video. It's entitled "Jaden Smith says he failed his father, must move out of LA." So I'm gonna give you guys my real time reaction and post commentary. All right, this is going to be interesting to see what he has to say. Before I start on my reaction, if you are new to this channel, once again, my name is Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist. On this channel, I talk about counter racism. I also talk about issues that affect black people collectively as a group. And I offer my suggestions on how to replace this broken system of injustice, this broken system of racism, which is white supremacy, with a system of justice. So if you are new and you agree to that ideology, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you don't agree, go ahead and subscribe anyway. I need my subscriptions up. I need my view counts up so that you guys can go ahead and troll and hate watch and do what you want to do, because if you are those type of people, at the end of the day, you are just a statistic and a view count. All right, so anyway, family, also, if you subscribe to my channel, okay, even if you don't, go ahead and please follow me on Instagram. Okay, so I regularly post, of course, on and upload on YouTube, but I also use Instagram. I use what's the other one? Twitter. Twitter. Kind of losing my train of thought. I use Twitter, Instagram, and a thing called Snubs for it's called Snups. I just started using Snups, and that's supposed to be like a sneaker Instagram for sneakerheads like myself, because I'm a sneakerhead. But yeah, make sure you guys follow me. My name on Instagram is The Black Separatist. Okay? I'll have it on my screen so you can see. It's right here. The Black Separatist. I know it's small because I'm using my reaction format so that the emphasis is on me reacting to the video while you're watching me react to it. All right? But this is my Instagram page. Make sure you guys follow me on that. And my Twitter. Put my Twitter up. Okay, this is my Twitter page right here. Black Separatist, formerly Ukarima. Make sure you guys subscribe to both. All right. Basically, I just post random stuff, and I'll keep you guys abreast of what I'm doing and things of that nature. All right, family. All right, so let's get right into it, family. We're gonna react to Jaden Smith talking about he failed his father and he's going to move out of LA. All right, so let's get it popping. Is he in the back of a car or something? I guess. I don't know.
I think it's so funny to tell my dad that like failed straight up.
Who was that?
Everybody follow your heart, okay? You know what I'm saying? Do exactly what you want to do. Be the you that you want to be. I'm about to move out of LA. There's a lot of bad things here. Create the life that you want for yourself. You know? Don't try to be somebody else, you know? And it's hard these days to really create the life that you want for yourself, because there's nobody here that's really like supporting the youth or the youth's creativity and the things that they want to do.
So he did mention don't try to be like somebody else. So that's sounds like a shot at his father, because you are the heir apparent to Will Smith. So people are looking for you to follow his footsteps and be the late great actor, famous movie star, So it sounds like the pressure, he had that pressure growing up, and I guess he realized he couldn't live up to that pressure. So.
And how they want to live life, there's no scientists rep, and at the end of 2017 we're gonna do some really really dope inspirational stuff. That's beyond just music and clothes. I'm at the DMV. It just shows you how sad society and life is. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just, I don't know. I just wish, I don't know. Dude, this is crazy. What is Instagram Live? Why aren't scientists Instagram Living? Huh? Why am I? Why aren't people Instagram Living to cure cancer right now?
Because scientists, they don't use Instagram.
Right,
that's why.
This makes no sense. Nothing about this life makes any sense.
Yeah, scientists, they don't go on Instagram to flex.
Why are we Instagram Living about saving people's lives?
Yeah, you got the wrong. You're in the wrong
sitting here on
field.
Instagram, sitting here being distracted by everything, and we're not even focusing on our own lives. You know what I'm saying? You got we Instagram Live to escape. We go on people's Instagram Lives to escape, so we don't have to focus to really think about the fact that nobody wants to support our creative endeavors. Nobody wants to help us be creative. Nobody wants to give us a support system to make something that's actually better for the world. They don't want us to change.
Yeah, so okay, so I cut that off. I guess he had more to say, but it was interesting what he had to say. First off, it's a lot of things that's questionable regarding his upbringing, right? Just in totality, you look in totality, growing up with the famous and rich and famous father, Will Smith. Okay, you're growing up in Hollywood, all right, and you're living up to your father, trying to follow your father's footsteps, and that pressure got to him. So he had so many different outlets trying to find himself, which is why you see him wearing dresses, looking effeminate, et cetera, trying to find acceptance. Other than trying to be like his father. So that's, I suspect, that's why he's doing this kind of behavior, right? And, I always talk about nation building. Nation building starts at home, trying to, raise a family, living in the same household with your wife and raising children under the same household. That's nation building. And so couple with that, you want to have a situation where you're living in an area where you have the resources that you need for your family to succeed. In this case, Jaden Smith grew up in Hollywood, rich and famous, in an affluent community, living around Europeans, right? And when you live around that kind of environment, it is very, very rough. You can say, to an extent, that it is in a situation where if someone's growing up in poverty, they don't have the resources that they need. Someone who's rich and famous that has all the resources that they need, but at the same time, they feel empty, right? You can say that's a very good contrast pertaining to someone growing up in poverty with lack of resources, education, jobs, etc., versus someone rich and famous with an abundance of resources, etc., and still feeling empty, still feeling like he's trying to find himself. And you're living amongst people who you're trying to gain that acceptance with, and they don't really truly accept you, right? And so that's what I feel in watching that video, how Jaden Smith is trying to portray. And, he mentioned, why isn't scientists on Instagram? Well, trying to cure cancer. Like I said, scientists, they don't go on Instagram. Family, black millennials, and I've talked about black millennials before. Black millennials, I'm a black millennial, and we spend the most time on our smartphones than any other ethnic group, right? Our top social media websites are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Okay? Those are our top go-to websites. So we are always on our smartphones looking at Instagram, posting on Instagram, trying to find validation, trying to, et cetera, et cetera. But when you are on Instagram, more than likely, you're not going to be following someone who's a scientist looking to cure cancer. So, and the aspect of what society is today, we're so connected to things because we depend on the dominant white society's resources for social media websites and the internet and all that stuff. We have to decompress by disconnecting ourselves from these particular resources, if you will. So we have to disconnect ourselves from those resources that are controlled by them and create our own. And I've always talked about that. I've always talked about creating our own equivalent of a YouTube, creating our own equivalent of a Google, creating our own equivalent of an Instagram, creating our own equivalent of a Facebook. And that's the reason why Facebook, I brought up Facebook. Facebook is something I've been off of for about a year. And the reason why I left Facebook is because of the fact that every time I would post one of my videos or post something about Black empowerment, I would be censored and I wasn't able to get my information across. And it's happened to me numerous of times. And I know Dr. Boyce Watkins is going through that right now. I know Tariq Nasheed has went through that a couple of times. So it's happened to me. When you're dealing with posting things about Black empowerment, et cetera, you will be censored. I experienced that. So that's the reason why I left Facebook and just post primarily on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't mess with Facebook. But again, I am trying to, on my channel on YouTube, I deal with Black issues pertaining to Black society, and I offer suggestions on how to replace this broken system of injustice with a system of justice, basically Black empowerment. All right, we live in a system of white supremacy, so we need to replace that with a system of justice. So I talk about Black empowerment and give you guys suggestions, right? And my biggest thing is for Black millennials, we need to invest in tech companies that are Black owned to start making sure we can compete and have rival resources, rival websites that go against YouTube, Google, Yahoo, right? Instagram, etc. Okay, because we know Black people, we're going to go to their particular companies to hire us for jobs, but they're not hiring us in droves. So what do we have to do? We have to create our own. That's what we have to do. And I know I'm kind of going off topic here a little bit, but because Jaden Smith mentioned Instagram, that ties into what Black millennials are using today consistently. Because more than likely you're watching me on a smart device, a smartphone, a tablet, a smart TV. You're watching me on some type of device, right? And so those devices that you're using are owned and controlled by the dominant white society. What you're watching me on, the platform you're watching me on, the infrastructure, the servers are owned and controlled by the dominant white society. We don't have a say-so. We are so dependent on Google, Facebook to maintain our intellectual property, which is why like I said, I'm a huge advocate on making sure we stop depending on their resources and create our own to rival their resources, right? And so going back to Jaden Smith, I know I kind of went off top a little bit. Jaden Smith is just a victim of, fame, fortune, and pressure, and when you're living around Hollywood, all right, when you're living around Hollywood, a bunch of Europeans, you're going to end up having a lot of questionable things that are happening to you, which again, like I said, he's dressing like a woman, being effeminate, etc., trying to find acceptance, amongst people that don't really accept you. Honestly, you can suspect the people are Europeans, and you can only suspect them of being white supremacists. That's the only thing you can do. You can only suspect them of being white supremacists, right? So he's living around suspected white supremacists, basically, trying to find acceptance. And so that's the thing that he's dealing with. So him moving out, I guess he said he wants to move out somewhere else and find himself. Hopefully he can, and hopefully it's something that he feels comfortable doing, right? But he's just a victim of circumstances. That's what it is. Just a victim of the pressure of trying to be like his father. Failed at that, and trying to search for another outlet where he feels at peace as far as what he's trying to do. And that's why, for myself, I have 3 sons, and I make sacrifices to make sure that they're doing great in school. They're doing great in school, and for leisure activities, I'm involved in that as well. I'm a volunteer coach, basketball coach, and I coach the team that they play for. So I made sure I adjust my schedule during my off time to do that consistently. So that's what I do. So now I coach actually 10 other children on the team, and I do that consistently. So those are the things that you have to do to make sure that you're there for your child. I'm not sure exactly the back end story as far as, Will Smith's involvement in his child's life. I don't know how Jaden Smith feels about Will Smith, being involved in certain situations. I'm not sure how that is, but that video indicates that he's looking for acceptance. And the acceptance that he's looking for, he's trying to validate for himself by going outside somewhere else to find that acceptance. Because the pressure of trying to be like his father got to him, and he folded. So those are my thoughts, family. The video ended kind of abruptly, but I basically got the point of the video. But if you saw it or you saw it for the first time, let me know your thoughts down below about, black Hollywood actors. Because, you look at the history of black Hollywood actors, or child actors rather, black Hollywood child actors, the majority of them end up, in just tumultuous situations. Drug addicts, into crime, into all kinds of just wild, crazy shit. And questionable stuff as well. Questionable stuff. So Jaden Smith's still young. I believe he's, I don't know, I think he's 16, 17, 18. I'm not sure. I think he's still a teenager, but he's still young. Still has a long way to go. So, I just wish the brother nothing but the best. But again, he's got to look deep inside himself to find what he's looking for, whether it's his clothing line, his music, whatever the case may be, he has to find acceptance, and he has to look inside himself for that. All right. So those are my thoughts, family. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about that video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at The Black Separatist. All right. And on Twitter, Black Separatist. All right, family. Till next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.